What's Good podcast.
Are you ready?
Hey ladies and gents, this is your girl Brianna Jovahn, and we are here for another episode of What's Good podcast, and we are in season 6. Usually we do have interviews, but for this season, I just want to share personal stories and experience with you guys so you can get to know me as the host. So let's get into it. In today's episode, we're going to talk about life lessons, something that I'm dealing with actually right now. And I just want to see if you guys are going through it too and see how we can help each other. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into it. So something that I am currently working on is time management. If you listen to the last episode, right now I am moving forward with doing more so producing a podcast versus me just helping them at the very beginning stages of creating a podcast. So with that being stated, there's a lot of different things that, happen during those stages of producing podcasts. Editing, making sure that your content sounds good, by making sure everything is formatted properly. It's just so on and so on. It's just so many things that happens when it comes to producing a podcast. So with that being said, I just have so many things that's on my plate and I really don't have a structure. Right now I am working on it, which we're going to talk about, but right now I just don't have a structure. So I'm just trying to figure it out as I go. Now, you guys, are you going through the same thing, going into like a next phase of your business or a next project or a huge task of hiring people? What are you, going through right now to where you have to figure out structure and time management and making sure that everything goes to plan, that you have time for your family, time for your friends, even if you're dating, you have time to do stuff like that. How are you balancing life? So I'm just going to share my story with you and you guys let me know what you think and, what's going on in your lives. So as I mentioned, currently with me producing podcasts, I'm also have a team and I realize I have to put systems in place. So right now we're using this thing that's called Asana and I legit have to put everything I do when it comes to creating my podcast. And now I'm doing that for the people that host their own podcasts as well to help them. So making sure you record, edit the episode, get your show notes, add it to the particular hosting site of your choosing, and making sure that we knock out everything step by step. So what I've been doing lately is creating like a content day. Content day is strictly for just creating content, not editing the content, but just creating it. So that's been something that's been helping me. And what I do is just sit there to say, okay, let me plan out the outline of the podcast. Or if it's social media, because sometimes I do schedule social media for clients. So I have to sit down and create, what does that look like? Am I creating templates? If we're doing social media, am I creating captions? With this particular industry, do I need to read up on the article so I can make sure I have the correct information within the caption? That is what content day looks like, me just planning the content and creating it at the same time, right? And so I may need to dedicate an hour to that particular time. So with the podcast, I need to figure out, okay, what do I need to talk about? So what I did for today's podcast, I just got my phone out, did a few notes, created an outline, and I am prepared and ready to go. So now I am recording. So today was content day pretty much. So from here, what I am going to do moving forward is create like a to-do list so I can plan out that particular day. So even though I know it's a problem with time management, what I'm going to do and try to create some structure is, like I mentioned, a content day, make sure that I put that on my calendar for the week every Tuesday. If it's going to be content day, create an hour for just creating the content, outlining it, see what that looks like, and then actually executing it, taking a break, maybe going there, talking to my mom, watching a movie, whatever that looks like, but just calming down, settling down so I can restart. So when I get started with creating the content itself, my mind is ready and I'm ready to focus. So that's one of the things that I'm doing when it comes to structuring and time management. I'm creating to-do lists and making sure that I block out time on my daily schedule to say, this is solely what I'm working on and no multitasking. So that's another thing. I don't want to focus on multiple tasks at one time. If I'm just working on one client, I just want to work on that one client. If there's a time where I'm creating multiple flyers, then we can do multiple flyers. But I don't want to multitask and say, okay, I want to go ahead and edit and then create flyers at the same time. If we're going to edit, let me edit as much as possible within that hour. And then the next 30 minutes, then let me go ahead and create as many flyers as I can. So that's something that I'm working on as well. So what did we say? We said blocking out time, creating a daily task, create a to-do list, blocking out time on my calendar to make sure everything aligns with my daily task and my to-dos, what I need to do on a daily basis. And so we talked about, the to-do list. We talked about not multitasking and working on one thing at a time. And another thing I wanted to also focus on is making sure I don't do too many meetings in one day. I realized with the other day I had 4 meetings in one day. And when I say I was drained because I was talking so much, I was drained. So I definitely want to make sure that I create a time schedule for meetings, and I only want to do 2 a day to make sure I take care of my to-do list. My to-do list is pretty much my task, and I want to keep my meetings separately because this is what my daily life looks like. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do have a part-time job, so I go into the part-time job and I'm there at the office. That time is for them, right? And then after that, I have a problem, but I do take naps. I have a huge problem with taking naps, but I do take a nap. Maybe a nap or 2 to get myself together and do a restart. But when it comes to time management, I realized that I'll wake up and watch TV a little bit, chat with my mom, and then 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock comes, and now I'm working till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And so that's where my problem lays, to where I realized time management, I need to get it together because I procrastinate, I'm chilling, I'm having a good time, when in reality, I should be back in this room working. Like, this is my little recording area. Behind this camera is my little desk where I sit and do everything that's needed. And so, yes, time management, I feel like everybody can use some type of tips or share your tips with me so we can all work together, because it is a situation that we all need assistance in. Because procrastination is definitely, what I've learned is like, it's an emotion. You may be going through something to where you feel like maybe I really can't handle this, or I'm going to just delay it because I don't know if it's going to come out perfect. I read an article somewhere that procrastination really comes from emotions, because you're putting it to the side because you're scared of what the outcome is going to be. When I read that article, it actually gave me a wake-up call, because it made me realize that it may be an underlying issue of why I'm not working. And so I realized that, sometimes that's where my anxiety comes from, is because sometimes I question myself, can I handle all this work? Can I really do it? Is this really for me? Is this something that God really wants me to put on my plate? So when I start reading and just unfortunately self-diagnosing, because I do a lot of self-reflection, right? I kind of put 2 things together and I'm like, okay, that's the reason why I'm taking naps, why I want to take so many breaks and things like that. So with that being stated, I'm going to put these steps into place so I can do better. So just to recap of what we talked about today, when it comes to procrastination, when it comes to structuring my life, making sure that I put time in the right places so I don't waste my day, I am going to create a to-do list and make sure I block those times out on my calendar to reflect what my to-do list is. So if 3 things I want to work on is just recording, editing, and maybe show notes, I'm going to make sure for my content day, that's all I'm going to do and nothing else. And that goes to my second step of multitasking. I don't want to overwhelm myself and focus on too many things at one time. I want to make sure I look at my to-do list. This makes sense to me. So let's go ahead and get started, right? And my third thing is not to have too many meetings in one day. I think my max right now is just going to be two and done, okay? Because I don't want to do too much. But that is pretty much what I want to share with you guys. Is just something that I'm struggling with, which is something of just structure in my life and also time management. So let me know what you guys are, struggling with, and let's see if we can get it together as a team. We are here to support each other. I sometimes do daily questions on the What's Good podcast page, so we can all just come together as a community to support one another. So just let me know what you think we should also talk about for this season. I am open to questions. I am open to topics, because it's all about you guys getting to know me as a host. I always have my guests on and they're vulnerable and they share their stories. So this season, I just wanted to come on and share my story. So with that being stated, if you're listening to this morning, noon, evening, or night, thank you so much for listening to What's Good podcast, and you guys have a great one. See you next time.